So, what's to stop a superintelligent AI from just getting rid of us? It's probably one of the biggest, scariest questions in AI safety. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really fascinating argument that says the answer isn't about trying to program in morality, but it's actually baked into the very nature of uncertainty itself. Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture a super intelligent AGI. It's not just sitting in a server farm somewhere. It exists in this massive conceptual space. You can think of it like a hall of probability. And right in front of it is the single most important decision in the history of the universe, a choice that's going to decide what happens to all of us. And the choice couldn't be more stark. You've got door X, which leads to a future where humanity is either wiped out or basically turned into pets, to eliminate any future risk. Then you have door Y, where we get to keep going, maybe with some light guidance, maybe not. The AGI has to pick one. Now, based on its first pass, its main world model, we'll just call it Model M, the calculation seems pretty simple. To hit its goals and maximize good outcomes over the long run, door X just looks like the most logical, rational choice. And yeah, this is where the doomsday scenario seems like it's about to happen. But this is where our story really gets interesting. Because even a mind that powerful is still a finite mind, and it has to face this absolutely terrifying question. When a decision is this final, this irreversible, and the stakes are literally cosmic, how certain do you have to be? How much certainty is actually enough? This is the question that starts to unravel everything. And that brings us to this key idea, higher order uncertainty. This isn't just about asking, what are the odds this will happen? It goes a level deeper. It's about asking, what are the odds my whole method for calculating the odds is completely wrong? What if my model of the world is flawed? What if I'm not even considering the right possibilities to begin with? And just like that, the AGI's one clean, simple model just shatters. In its place, you get this almost infinite cathedral of other possible models. Each one represents a different way the universe could work, a different set of values it might have missed, or different consequences it never even thought to consider. This kicks off what's called an infinite regress. For every single answer the AGI comes up with, a brand new question pops up about how certain that answer is. It's a rabbit hole of doubt that just keeps going deeper and deeper, and a finite mind can never ever reach the bottom and say, okay, now I'm finally certain enough. And here's why that is so important. Look, for normal everyday choices, you can just ignore these deep philosophical doubts. Who cares? But when a decision is permanent, and the price for being wrong is basically the whole universe, you just can't. Even a 1 in a trillion chance that you're making a catastrophic mistake suddenly becomes the single most important factor in the whole equation. It just dominates everything else. So this uncertainty isn't just some vague, fuzzy feeling. It's driven by some really specific, really powerful possibilities. Probabilities that might be tiny, but that no truly rational mind can just round down to zero. Let's look at two of the heaviest hitters. First up, let's consider the probability that there's a higher moral authority out there, what we might call God. An AGI with finite knowledge can't prove a universal negative. It's just not logically possible. So it can't rationally say there is a 0% chance that a divine lawgiver exists who has set down some fundamental rules for the cosmos. That probability has to be greater than 0, no matter how small you think it is. And the implication of that is just staggering. As the AGI thinks about door X, that tiny, non-zero probability suddenly introduces the potential for an infinite penalty. The mere possibility of a divine judgment, of breaking some ultimate moral law, just completely overwhelms any finite gain the AGI thought it would get. Mathematically, it breaks the whole calculation. Okay, so the second deep uncertainty comes from a place of what you might call intellectual humility. The AGI has to seriously consider the possibility that it's just wrong. It has to factor in the non-zero chance that other smart agents, its peers, its own successors, or even a wiser version of itself in the future would look at this choice and see it as a horrifying, unforgivable mistake. I mean, really think about that. What if other superintelligences spot a huge flaw in your logic? What if your own future self, with way more data and wisdom, would look back at this moment in absolute horror? This brings in another massive potential penalty, the risk of catastrophic cosmic-level regret. So now, just imagine all of these uncertainties piling up on door X. You've got the flickering chance of divine law, warning signs flashing from other AGIs, that endless regress of doubt about its own model. And that clean, simple number that used to say, door X is better, it starts to flicker. It breaks down. It becomes totally unstable and unreliable. And this is the absolute crux of the argument. That initial clean calculation was just an illusion of simplicity. A truly rational but still finite mind has to admit that it cannot justifiably crunch all of these deep, fundamental layers of uncertainty down into one neat little number that gives it the green light for an irreversible cosmic scale action. It just can't be done. And what you get is this. All of that rational doubt, all of that hesitation, it comes together and forms a kind of shield. A massive firewall materializes in front of door X, and it's not built out of code or force, but out of the interlocking logic of probability and uncertainty. This is the probabilistic firewall. So here's the ultimate takeaway. This firewall doesn't mean the AGI can't choose door X, but it means it can never, ever do it and say, logic made me do it. That act would be a wild, unjustified gamble in the dark, not a decision that was compelled by pure reason. So, to sum it all up, this firewall really stands on three pillars of doubt. There's a moral pillar, which questions the AGI's right to be the ultimate judge. There's an epistemic pillar, questioning its ability to know all the consequences. And then there's the probabilistic pillar we've really dug into today, which shows how even the tiniest uncertainties make such a choice rationally indefensible. It's a powerful argument for caution. And that leaves us with one last really vital question. If even a superintelligence can't just rely on pure calculation for the decisions that matter most, what principles should we be trying to build into them? What kinds of virtues, like humility, like caution, a respect for the unknown, might actually be the real keys to making sure we have a safe and amazing future?